Praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praise is worthy to a beneficent bestower of bounties and a granter of favours, and we ask our Lord Most High to send copious and eternal and unlimited blessings and salutations upon our beloved Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Amma ba'd, qala al-mu'allif rahimahullah, nafa'ana bihi wa bikum, radiyallahu anhu wa ankum. It says, وَعَلَيْكَ بِتَعْجِيلِ الْفِطْرِ عند يقين الغروب وتأخير السحور ما لم تخش الوقوع في الشك.
Hasten to break your fast as soon as you are certain that the sun has set.
Yeah.
Delay suhoor so long as you do not fear the break of dawn.
Okay, so again, the Shaykh, this is, I suppose, more relevant to the Imam. This is more relevant to the actual performance of fasting during the month of Ramadan. But again, it's a reminder for us, and there's wisdom in that. The ta'jil al-fitr, or in other words, as soon as possible for one to break their fast. This is a part of worship. There's no reason to delay it. And another thing is to make sure that whatever you're breaking your fast upon is halal. There's no doubt about it. There's no point fasting all day long, and then when it comes time for one to break one's fast, that one uses something that's, if it's not haram, that it's shubha. It's not certain where the origin, particularly if it's a meat product, not certain of the origin of the product, and they lose everything in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to be certain when the ghurub, and to be certain where the ghurub is. So to be certain when the sun is set. and there's a bit of doubt about it sometimes. If there's some doubt, then it's better to wait a little bit more until that doubt's gone, and then to break the fast. And then to have suhoor as late as possible. There's actually, that's a time of, in the Arabs, the sahar is the time of night. And it's the last part of the night before the fajr. وَهُمْ فِي الْأَسْحَارِ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. Allah Azza wa Jalla says that in the time of ashar, sihr, that they make istighfar. So that's a time. It's not just the food that you eat, that's what we think. It's a time of the night. And it's called suhoor because at that time. So to make that as late as possible. Some people, they have it 1 o'clock, whatever, and then they sleep. That's okay. But it's better to have it as late as possible. Why? So you can be up to make istighfar, to make dua, to ask Allah, and then not to miss the Salat al-Fajr, particularly if you're a male in congregation. وَبِتَفْطِيرِ الصَّائِمِ وَلَوْ عَلَى تَمَرَاتٍ أَوْ شُرْبَةٍ مِنَ الْمَاءِ.
Feed those who fast at the time when they break it, even if it's with some dates or a draught of water.
Alright, so there's a lot. Actually, we should continue because he talks about it. فَإِنَّ مَنْ فَطَرَ صَائِمًا كَانَ لَهُ مِثْلَ أَجْرِهِ لَا يَنْقِصُ ذَلِكَ مِنْ أَجْرِهِ شَيْئًا.
For the one who feeds another at the time of breaking the fast receives as much reward as he, without this diminishing the other's reward in any way.
Okay, so it's awesome. If you like that, I remember when we were studying. Always people were fighting over to get the tamr to give one of the habib so they can get the reward of what that person's done all day long. Because of course they're going to do better deeds than us students. We're struggling. Those guys, mashallah, they're on a particular level. So it's in your favour. Even if you can't invite one of the pious people around, send that pious person. Best thing is rutub. There's dates, they're rutub. They're actually the fruit before they're dried out. That's the actual sunnah. Is rather than dates, which is tamr, is the rutub. If you send the person the tamr and say, please, have this before you break your fast, or when you break your fast, have this. And even if it's a drink of water, because the hadith says, Ya Rasulullah, what if we don't have enough capacity to feed a poor person? And he said, alayhi salam, even if it's with a date or a drink of water. So, there's high rewards in it, and that's the educated Muslim. The educated Muslim who knows their faith knows how to get the rewards and knows how to get the pleasure of Allah without having to do all the things these guys do. These pious people, the salihin, women or brothers or sisters they may be. But they know how to get the benefit out of it by making sure others break their fast and that. He said, وَاشْتَيْدًا لَا تَفْطِرْ وَلَا تُفْطَرْ وَلَا تُفَطِّرْ صَائِمًا إِلَّا عَلَى طَعَامٍ حَلَالٍ.
Strive never to break your fast, nor to feed anyone else at such a time except with lawful food.
Okay, so we spoke about that, the lawfulness, the permissibility of food. It's important. It's the main aspect, really, in my view. It's the main aspect of our ibadah, in my view. Because there's no point fasting and praying and all that if you're eating haram. Because as the hadith says, 40 days, nothing's accepted. No prayers are accepted. No dua is accepted. You're not clean, your body's not halal, hey, reading the Qur'an, what benefit are you getting out of it, knowledge, what benefit are you getting? Useless, in my view. That's my personal view. Especially we live in Australia, and anywhere you go to Saudi and you go to eat, you got to ask if it's baladi or otherwise, because some of the stuff comes from Brazil and France, the chicken and the meat. It's in Saudi Arabia, across the road from the haram. So when you go, make sure you ask if it's baladi. If it's not baladi, I would suggest don't eat it, because who knows what the standards are. Baladi meaning comes from either Saudi or the Arab Emirates or somewhere like that. Malaysia, Indonesia, but it doesn't. Most of the stuff comes from Australia and Brazil, France, places like that. وَعَلَيْكَ بِالتَّقْلِيلِ مِنَ الْأَكْلِ.
Do not eat much.
Okay? The less you eat, the stronger your spiritual energy is going to be. And look, we love a challenge. How come every time saying we're challenged in something, or even someone on Facebook says, whatever, cute baby, 1 million likes or whatever it is. Isn't that what happens? And how much do they get, 1 million? I don't know, I've never seen it. Is it? Yeah? No, sometimes. Alright? The challenge is out there. Why don't we challenge ourselves in Ramadan? Alright? 11 months out of the year, eat whatever you have to eat. In the month of Ramadan, if you're healthy and your body's strong, why not? Why not? If you're a personal trainer type person, what is it, athlete or whatever, then it's a time maybe to cut up in that time. Rather than bulking in Ramadan, do the opposite. Try and eat less. Not so that you haven't got enough energy to move, but so you realize the anwar, go back to it, the anwar that Allah's sending in that month. You realize that it's not me and my power, it's not me and my food, it's not me and my energy, it's not me and my skills that's driving me in life. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's Allah that's pushing me. It's Allah that's helping me. And you can there's a lamas, you can feel it in Ramadan. And if you're not pushing it, you won't feel it. وتناول الموجود من الحلال من غير إيثار للطيب الملائم.
Take whatever lawful food is present and do not prefer that which is tasty.
Alright? A massive issue in our society. And I've said it to you before, and I'll repeat it again today, that I spoke to the person, the director of the waste in Canterbury Council a few years ago, and he was saying that Muslims, or in the Canterbury municipality, that twice the amount of rubbish and refuse is actually thrown away in the month of Ramadan than any other month. That's his statistics. Twice the amount. What does that mean? It means anyone you speak to in Ramadan, always, of course, everyone wants to eat a chicken. Everyone wants to eat a leg of lamb. Everyone wants to eat, a breast of a turkey. Everyone wants to eat whatever, half a carcass of beef. Everyone wants to eat whatever. We all want to eat. And sweets and drinks, and we all think we can because we've been fasting all day. But the reality is, have you ever been able to do it? Has anyone you know ever been able to do it? It doesn't happen. Your stomach shrinks. You can't eat. Haven't you seen those operations? They put balloons in people's stomachs and they chop their stomachs and they chop their intestines so they eat less. The smaller your intestines and your digestive system becomes, the less you eat. So in Ramadan, what's happening all the time, and as the days go on, sometimes you might be hungry and eat more, but most of the time you won't be. Now it's winter, so you're likely to eat. The point is, as the Imam's saying, is not to seek out what is the most. And I've told you about my uncle. In Ramadan, he used to spend his whole month driving around from place to place, getting honey from oranges from Griffiths, and whatever, apples from wherever they were. Or wake up in the morning, drive for a few hours, go get the thing, bring it, put it on the table. If there's not 7 different types of drink, he's upset. What if I feel like this today? That's how we are, and we're smiling, but that's how all our households are. Before Ramadan, what happens to our mums or our wives? They're out shopping, filling up the house. Oh, it's like, it's a famine, majaa. There's a famine coming. It's not a famine, it's Ramadan. You're supposed to eat less. Particularly us when the day is short. Imagine you're getting up at suhoor, and you're eating, 6, 7, 8, 10 eggs and half a kilo of cheese and 3 or 4 things of bread and olives and sour cream and labna and shanklish and whatever else. And then at 4 o'clock or 4:52, whatever it is, again you're eating half a chicken and salad and sweet potato and baked potato and pizza and manqoosh and whatever, laham ajeen or whatever. What's the point? Where's the fast? All you've done is delayed dinner. and brought breakfast forward a little bit. If you're not feeling the pain, you're not feeling it, you're not getting the benefit. No pain, no gain. That's the reality. But don't overdo it, according to your capacity. But try and push yourself a bit. Try and eat a little bit less. And we should never be filling our stomachs. That's the prophetic. They said the first bid'ah in Islam is filling one's stomach. So we should never be doing it, particularly in the month of Ramadan. فإن مقصود الصوم كسر الشهوة والاتساع في الأكل وقصد الطيبات لا يكسرها ولكنه يقويها ويهيجها
For the purpose of fasting is to subdue one's lustful appetite, and eating a large quantity of delicious food will on the contrary arouse and strengthen it.
Alright? So it goes back to what's going to be the stronger. The horse or the rider. The horse being the body and the rider being the soul. If the horse overpowers the rider, then the horse goes wherever it wants. Doesn't care. Eats from the grass that doesn't belong to the rider, or the grass that's impermissible, walks on places that it shouldn't go, trespassing, whatever, kicks people, bites people, whatever horses do. But if the rider is stronger, the soul, then the soul tells the body where to go. The horse, then the rider directs the horse in which direction it should go, where it can eat, where it can drink, where it can walk, who it can kick and who it can't bite, etc., etc. So, as the Imam is saying, the reason why, the background to it, إِنَّهُ لِي وَأَنَا أَجْزِي بِهِ, all the deeds of Bani Adam, كُلُّ عَمَلُ بَنِي آدَمِ لَهْ إِلَّا الصِّيَامِ. So all the deeds of human beings, of the children of Adam, belong to that person who performs the deed, except fasting. It's mine, and I give recompense, in other words, reward people in accordance to what I want. Allah Azza wa Jalla says. Why? Because it's in a sense, some of the scholars say it's almost a divine act not to eat and not to sleep, and not to eat, drink, and have sexual relations. It's almost on the verge of it, because it's away from the animalistic. Going back to the example of the horse and the rider, it's away from the animalistic and innate instincts that a human being has. And when a person breaks their instinct, their intellect increases, their spirit increases, and that's what Allah's seeking from us. So that's the secret of the fast, that it trains us to get what? Taqwa, right? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Mahak, right? Which is nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وعليك بصيام الأيام التي ورد الشرع بالترغيب في صيامها كيوم عرفة لغير الحاج ويوم عاشوراء والتاسوعاء والستة من شوال وابتداء من شوال.
Fast on the days on which the law encourages you to fast, such as the day of Arafat for those who are not participating in the pilgrimage, the 9th and 10th Ashura of Muharram, and the 6 days of Shawwal. Starting with the second day of the feast.
ابتدئ فيها من ثاني يوم العيد فإن ذلك أبلغ من رياضة النفس في رياضة النفس.
For this is the more effective discipline for the soul.
You got to do it. Like in Australia, I say unless you're sick or unless your job's super physical and hard, you have to fast at least 3 days every month. And that's the prophetic advice. 3 days every month. So for example, there's a Yemen, did you say Yemen Bid? Didn't mention it, did you?
That's next.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's okay. Well, then we'll say that. وبصيام 3 أيام من كل شهر فإن ذلك يعد صيام الدهر فإن تحريت له الأيام البيض فهو أحسن لأنها عليه الصلاة والسلام كان لا يدع صيامها حضرا ولا سفرا.
Fast 3 days in each month, for these equal a perpetual fast. It is better if these are the white days, for the Prophet ﷺ never omitted to fast them whether he was at home or traveling.
Alright, so depending on your circumstances, like for us, I say to it's very, like almost for us, like not a wajib ruling in the shara, but you got to do it, because we eat so much. We have a life of not wanting. There's no want really in our lives except internal wants, peace, security, contentment. happiness. So that unless you're ill, that's a different story. Unless you're, like I said, your work is so physical that you're unable to operate. If if it's too hot, you dehydrate, whatever the case is, then every one of us should be at least fasting 3 days. That's a prophetic advice. And that was at the time when there wasn't that much food. Now you can order takeaway to be home delivered. Pretty good. So you ring up the place and they go to the takeaway shop for you and they deliver it to your house. It's pretty good, whatever it is, whatever you decide to have, they'll go and get it for you and they'll bring it to your house. So we live in a time of ease, and we worry about food and worry about ourselves, really. And that fasting breaks that love of self, and it helps us to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And hopefully it'll help us to remember the less fortunate, like the town in Syria that we're hearing of now in Al-Bilal, where people are starving to death on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, if we're ummah and we're supposed to feel what our brothers and sisters of the and the ummah doesn't just mean the Muslims. It means other people who are suffering injustice and oppression in the world, other human beings, and we're supposed to feel that. That's supposed to make us sad. That's supposed to, if we hear that, make us not want to eat. And if we're eating, make us not want to finish eating. And if we're not feeling that, then we've got a deep-seated issue in Al-Bilal. If we just divide things by nationalistic borders, or by borders of religion, or by borders of race, or skin colour, or whatever it might be, then we really have to ask ourselves the question: are we really humans? And if we're not true humans, we can never be true Muslims. We can never be true Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ never dissed someone, didn't give them what they needed because they weren't a Muslim. That never happened with the Prophet of Allah. Of course, the al-aqrabuna awla bil ma'ruf, the ones who are closest to you in proximity, in relations, in spiritual brotherhood or sisterhood, then of course they have a priority over others. But there was no rejection of anyone because of their faith or because of their race. The Prophet ﷺ never did that, because Islam it's sent as it's revealed to the Prophet ﷺ as the ultimate equalizer. It equalizes all people of wealth, people of poverty, people of status, people of beauty, or whatever it might be, or otherwise. So if we're not feeling it somehow, then we've got an issue. We've got a serious issue. So the good thing about Ayyam al-Bid, and there's Ayyam al-Sud as well, which is the first 3 days or the last 3 days of the month where there's no real, it's the last 3 days where there's no moon, last 27, 28, 29, when there's no moon. They're also, it's not as strong as the white days, which are 13, 14, 15, when there's a full moon. But sometimes it's easier to fast those 3 days in a row. The Prophet, as the Imam said, never left those 3 days of the full moon, never left them. Even when he was travelling, he used to fast those days. If you can, it's good. If not, 1 day, it's basically almost 1 day out of the week. So 1 week you can take a break. So whether it's Monday and Thursday, sunnah to fast those days. Oh, did you mention it? No, I didn't mention it, but Monday,
After, yeah.
still coming along. Ithnain wal Khamis, yeah, there it is. Do we read that?
No.
So we may as well read it. وَعَلَيْكَ بِالْإِكْثَارِ مِنَ الصَّوْمِ مُطْلَقًا ولا سيما في الأوقات الفاضلة كالأشهر الحرم وأيام التشريق وأيام الشريفة كالاثنين والخميس. So they're really good ones if you can't do it. But if you can do it in a row, the best is the white days. And sometimes it's better because you kind of get on a bit of a roll on. Maybe in our summer, maybe not the best, depending on your dehydration and hydration levels, to do the 3 days in a row. It's up to your own personal situation and up to your own personal capacity to do these things. If you're going to kill yourself by doing the 3 in a row, don't do it. Do 1 here and 1 there. If your job is outdoors working, I think the outdoors job, when it rains like that, the jobs become easier. Maybe they don't even work. Fast those days. If you have Saturday and Sunday off, maybe pick a Saturday or a Sunday if your job's hard to fast. Otherwise, if you wake up late, as long as it's before Zawal, before Dhuhr, you wake up at 11 o'clock, I don't know if you sleep that late, whatever, before Dhuhr, then make the intention to fast. It'll be less hours for you. So you got to be smart. But I, like I said to you, if you're not doing 3 days a month, then really you're not going to progress spiritually. If you want to talk, lay it down.
So you have to do the intention before that day?
Before Dhuhr. Okay? So before Zawal, which is just like 5 minutes before Dhuhr, you have to make the intention
For that day?
for that day. So you can wake up and, like I said, 11, 11:30, 12, up to about 1:45, probably. I don't know what time Dhuhr is, about 1ish now even. So even a few minutes before Dhuhr, you wake up, you think, I'm going to fast today, you get the reward. Why not? Why not? But like I said, my belief, particularly for us, if you're not fasting 3 days every month, at least 3 days, you're not going to progress spiritually. You might progress, but it'll be an extremely slow progression. Whereas if you fast those 3 days and more, but in winter, I reckon that you should be fasting every Monday and every Thursday. Unless your job is extremely physical, like I said, or you've got a physical. It's a short day, you don't even feel it. You don't even feel it. The beautiful thing is you can have your maghrib, have a soup or something warm, pray your isha, come back and eat properly then, and it's all good. It's not that hard. In summer in Australia, it's a long day. It's humid as well, so a lot of the liquid is drawn out of the body, so it's a bit tougher. If you've got holidays and things, I know we all want to party and whatever and have a good time in the holidays, but if you at least 1 or 2 days set aside, you want to check the thing. Apparently everyone's hot.
It's
It's not working. It's had its day. All right. So and he talks about the particular days, and those ones we've spoken about many different times. So we're not going to go into it. It says وَعَلَمْ أَنَّ الصِّيَامَ قُطُبْ الرِّيَاضَةِ وَأَسَاسُ الْمُجَاهَدَةِ. Ya Allah.
Know that fasting is the pillar of discipline and the basis of striving.
It can't be overstated. Fasting cannot be overstated how beneficial it is for one's spirit. It can't be overstated. It's the qutub, which, what does he say in English?
The pillar.
It's more than the qutub.
Pole.
It's more than that. It's the whole, basically the whole kit and caboodle, really. It's the everything, so to speak, in terms of exercise for one's soul. We all, want to exercise our bodies and make sure they're healthy and the rest of it, but this is exercise for one's soul. And he says it's the foundation of struggling and striving. And we all have to do that. The jihad, in terms of fighting our nafus, that struggling, that doing our best. If you really want to give a good definition for jihad, it's doing your best. Unreservedly doing your best. I'm not just doing, that's good enough. No. Pushing it. Making sure you're pushing it. Doing your best by pushing it to your maximum capacity. Okay? So he says that's the foundation. The Imam says that's the foundation of it. If you're not doing that, not fasting, and 100%, there's no doubt about what the Imam's saying. And more so for us. Like if we lived in a place where there wasn't much food and that, don't worry about it. That's enough mujahada as it is. That's enough struggling and striving, is seeking out our daily existence. But we live in the opposite scenario. Like if food was to run out, I reckon the food in my house would at least last a month. At least, if not more. There's no mujahada in that. There's no struggling and striving in that. That's just batar when I was in the وَقَدْ وَرَدَ أَنَّ الصَّوْمِ نِصْفُ الصَّبْرِ. Sorry.
It has been said that fasting constitutes half of fortitude.
Okay? Remember we talked about every Ramadan we talk about it. Who can remember that? Every Ramadan we mentioned that hadith and the other hadith. وَالصَّبْرُ نِصْفُ. Right. Nisful what? So it's not written down. You can't. Oh yeah, okay, one of those. No, it's not written there. Sabr is half of iman, right? Almost. All right. So if Sawm is half of sabr and sabr is half of the deen, then quarter of the whole deen is fasting. Yeah, half times a half is a quarter. Is that how it goes? All right. زي قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كل عمل ابن آدم يضاعف له الحسنة بعشر أمثالها إلى 700 ضعف وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام إن الصيام فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به يدع شهوته وطعامه وشرابه من أجلي للصائم فرحتان. I would stop there.
The Messenger of God sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said, God the Exalted had said, all good deeds of the son of Adam are multiplied by 10 to 700 fold, except fasting, for it is mine, and I shall reward the man for it, for he has left his appetite, his food and drink for my sake.
Alright, so we spoke about that. We already mentioned that previously, because these are the things that come up when it comes to fasting. Like, it's a big deal. Allah's saying that, you do a good deed, you get 10 rewards, up to 700. multiplied by exponential 700. Except fasting. It's mine. Allah says it's mine. And I'm the one who gives a reward in accordance with the difficulty, intention, attitude, all the different things that go along with it, actions, character, all the things that go along with it. So according to our level of the other things that aren't, we said that the basic level of fasting is not to eat, not to drink, and not to involve in sexual activity. The other things is how one uses one's tongue, how one uses one's eyes, how one uses one's mind, how one uses one's heart. Those are the other things. That increases the value of one's fasting. And then we said the level of the prophets is they fasted on everything except Allah. Right? They refrained from thinking and being involved in anything except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the goal. Isn't the goal in life? The goal in life is to realize that all these things are attached to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that we have no la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And to understand that our attachment in life is to Him, not to ourselves, not to our minds, not to our abilities, not to our mums and dads and husbands and wives and. But it's to Him alone, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And fasting is supposed to give us that. Fasting is supposed to give us that. So like I said, it can't be understated the value of one, not only fasting, but loving fasting. The Sahaba, the Prophet used to have to tell them when they used to go fi sabilillah in a campaign, he used to order them to break their fast. That's how much they loved it. He used to order them, they used to go in the desert where it's hot and there's no water and it's dry. He used to order them to break, and some of them still didn't break it. La birra bis-sawmi bis-safar or fi-sawmi bis-safar. There's no good, the Prophet said, there's no good, no benefit in fasting while you're traveling. And they still fasted. They loved it so much. I think it was Abu Darda. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I want to fast every day. He said, no. He said, fast on the white days. He said, no, I want to fast more. He said, no, I want to fast on more. He goes, I'll fast Mondays and Thursdays. And he said, I want to fast more. He said, the best fast is the fast of Sayyidina Dawood alayhi salam. David, 1 day on, 1 day off. But the Prophet advised him not to do it. But he loved fasting. And then he did it, 1 day on, 1 day off. And then what did he say at the end of his life? He goes, I wish I would have listened to the Prophet. Allah, he's a Sahabi. So I wish I listened to the Prophet of Allah because it's too hard. And what happens, if you keep doing a deed, and you stop doing it, you decrease spiritually. So he can't stop because he knows it's going to, basically for him, he's going to destroy him. It's not really going to destroy him, but he's going to lose the level he's on. And no one wants to do that. No one wants to lose their level that they're on. Look, they're talking about, taking away people's citizenships, and no one wants to lose their Australian passport. I don't, because you go to how many countries throughout the world, you don't even need to get a visa. You just rock up, they give you a visa when you're there. You don't have to worry about it. Whereas if you're from the Middle East, well, that's what I saw with my own eyes. One time we flew Emirates, they stopped us in Dubai for overnight or whatever it was, and then all the Western passports, we just kind of go through a special area and we don't have to wait for anything. And then all the people from the Middle East and the subcontinent, they have to do a retina scan just to get into the country to do transit, to stay overnight, to go. They have to do a retina scan. This is maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to be hassled everywhere. For that reason, and I'm an Australian, that's it. Whether they take my passport away or they don't take my passport away, or they cancel my citizenship, no one can tell me I'm not an Australian. No one can define my Australianity, if there's such a word. I define it. I was born here. I was raised here. That's it. I define what I believe to be my Australian. No one can tell me. And don't fall into that trap. Don't fall into that rubbish. That's it. We're Aussies, full stop. And we define it. No one can tell us what it means to be an Aussie. We tell you what it means to be an Aussie. As long as we don't break the law, I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want as long as I don't break the law and I'm still an Australian, and that's my way of being an Australian. And no one can comment about it. They try and put us down and say, where are you from or whatever. No, they can't put us down. We're Aussies, that's it, we own it. So, we wouldn't want to lose that. You wouldn't want to lose your mum or your dad. They don't want to lose their position, their station with Allah, their maqam. So he had to go through it, and it became difficult, and it was a killer. But that's how much they loved it. So it's not just the fasting, it's the loving of the fasting, because what it gives a person. I think I've said that quote before. Muhammad Ali, he goes, I used to hate every moment of training. But he knew that when he became a champ, he's going to love being a champ. He's going to love it. What do they say? they say if you, there's another classic quote like that. It goes something along the lines of, if you give up, that pain of giving up lasts forever. But if you win, whatever, that pain overcomes that pain of losing, or something along those lines. So in other words, the struggles and the sacrifices that one goes through, the rewards they get at the end of it, overcome the pain they suffered when they were struggling and striving. And that's how it should be for us to love Allah Azza wa Jal that much that we're willing to sacrifice our food and our drink and our sexual activities for Him subhanahu wa ta'ala through that way. And it's weird for us. Like, imagine it's weird. How do people celebrate? So if, say there's an occasion, an event, how do people other than Muslims celebrate? What do? Drink alcohol. Party meaning what? What do? They go out to dance, okay? They dance, they drink, they eat, they socialise. What else? They dress up. Well, okay, along those lines. What do we do to celebrate? We fast. We fast. Mahak Ashura. Allah Azza wa Jal emancipated Noah and all the other prophets. Moses is the man, Musa alayhi salam. How do we celebrate? Hey, let's party. Let's fast. Wait, what? Because we love Allah. It's a celebration. Mahak wal Allah. Arafah, if you're not there, you fast. All the different things except the Eid, because it's a true celebration. What do? We dress up. What do? We socialise. What do? We eat. What do? We go and visit each other. What do? We dance. If you can dance, you can dance. No worries. No problem at all. As long as it's proper type of dancing and it's proper music and you're not with women aren't mixing unless it's your husband or wife. Or brother or sister, as the case might be, but I'm sure there's no fun dancing with your brother or sister. Alright? So, they're the only days we celebrate because it's Eid. And we eat. In Eid al-Adha, you're supposed to eat meat on all those days, 4 days. You're supposed to indulge on those days. Okay? And then if it's a marriage as well, it's a celebration. But other than that, not to say we live a somber life. We don't live a somber life. But our happiness is attained in a different way than what we believe other people are being happy. Because happy comes and goes, but happiness, it's not. It's everlasting. And if you connect with Allah and you're happy, how long does it last? It's eternal. You'll be happy forever. You'll be in a state of happiness, so we don't confuse the words. You'll be in a state of happiness forever. Forever. Whereas the other happiness, this is the drinking example, like we said last time. The pleasure they feel, the pleasure those who don't know Allah feel by eating, drinking, dancing, when they can't feel it anymore, it turns against them. The pleasure becomes pain, becomes an addiction, becomes a sickness.
As much as it gives, it takes.
You know? Every up there's a down. As much as it gives, it takes. So we don't have to feel that. That's not happiness. That's happy for an hour or two, then they have... Someone was telling me the other day, it's like, you know what they were describing though, they were saying it's like a hangover. I'm like, hangover, they're like, yeah, your head feels this big. I can't remember what it was about. They were saying it's a hangover. When they drink, they enjoy themselves because your head feels this big and you can't eat properly in your stomach. And so they had 2 or 3 hours of enjoying themselves for 14 hours of headaches and pain and difficulties. Whereas we don't have to face that because ours is an eternal happiness, inshallah. So what does it say? لِلصَّائِمِ فَرْحَتَانِ فَرْحَةٌ عِنْدَ فِطْرِهِ وَفَرْحَةٌ عِنْدَ لِقَاءِ رَبِّهِ.
The one who fasts has 2 joys. One when breaking his fast, the other when meeting his Lord.
So we prove the words of the Prophet ﷺ. Farha, celebration, happiness. Celebration and happiness. When? And when we're fasting. As soon as we break it. I've never met anyone who's not happy when they break their fast. To this day. Of course, all of us are happy. Not only because we're eating, because of the sense of achievement. The sense of achievement. When we were young, we used to play rugby league. And they go, oh, he's fasting? Oh, we don't want him to. As if we used to love it. I always remember, anyone I don't know about any other things, but with sport, when we were fasting, we always used to do it better. Because our mind wasn't preoccupied. Our mind was clear. Don't worry about food, don't worry about drink, don't worry about tiredness, don't worry about nothing. Because you're thinking of Allah. When we were young, we didn't know anything bad at that time. You know, we had too young to be exposed to corruption. And we used to play the best. We always used to play the best when we were fasting. Don't tell me that, not to say that afterwards when we stopped, we didn't feel tired and we didn't feel thirsty. We did. We felt exhausted. But during the game, we never did. And then we'd go and play social games, so we're not going to go hard, we'll just go for a run. And we used to always go harder because our state was different, our condition was different, our thought process was different. So the farha is in the breaking of the fast because of the sense of accomplishment. There's an accomplishment of having fasted, like in summer, when, like these days, when it's 16, 18 hours, it's hard. There's no one who can say it's easy. It's a tough go. It's a tough go, but when you do it, how do you feel? And I'd like you to remember when you fasted, if you were fasting in summer a few years ago, and then when Eid came, how you felt, and then last year when Eid came. It's not the same. I remember fasting in Eid in summer, it's much more of an Eid, it's much more enjoyable because the sacrifice was greater. The sacrifice, even though it was heaps harder. I remember one time we did some physical labour, we were standing on the road like 10, 12 hours every day on the M2, we were working on the M2, every single day, 30, 35, 39 degrees, and when we had the Eid, it was a proper Eid. We really felt like we accomplished something. No, there's in the sun, because it's on the road, there's no trees, nothing. But subhanAllah, when we finished, we felt, wow, this is, and you get the feeling you can do anything, bi'Iznillah. You get that feeling. I didn't do it through my strength, Allah helped me do it. So that's a sense of celebration. And of course, meeting Allah, that's the ultimate success. That's the ultimate happiness, that you only get happier and happier and happier and happier and happier. There's no limit to the happiness you get. وَلَخُلُوفَ فَمِّ الصَّائِمِ أَطْيَبُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ مِنْ رِيحِ الْمِسْكِ.
And the odor of the fasting man's mouth is more fragrant to God than that of musk.
So that is the meaning of that is, in a sense, that what we believe to be disdainful, like not pleasant, unpleasant, really in reality is one of the most pleasant things to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we all know when someone's breath stinks, it's nasty business if you ask me. It's pretty disgusting. Of all things for people to stink, probably their breath. I mean, BO is not very enjoyable either, but one's breath is, that's why we always have the miswak, so that, our breath doesn't smell. And the khuluf, and the change in the taste or the flavor or the smell of the mouth of a human being is more fragrant to Allah Azza wa Jal than the fragrance of musk. And don't forget, back those days there wasn't, I'm old school, so like CK1 and Fahrenheit and all those sort of stuff. That's things, I don't know what they got up now, but whatever the perfumes are, they didn't have all that variety of perfumes. They had more simple variety, and musk was considered the best of them. So the best of all perfumes, the smell of the changing texture of a fasting person's mouth is more beloved to Allah than the finest smells. So that's the outward picture with regards to the reality of that thing. So outwardly, like, oh man, you're fasting. Isn't that what people say to you? But now people in that, they know that fasting is good for you. Oh, fasting, yeah, good on you. It's strong for the body. I fast sometimes. But 20 years ago, no one used to say that. Boy, you're crazy. How do you fast? Especially when they see kids doing it, like little 7-year-old, 8-year-old kids. Oh, aren't they going to die? No, they're not going to die. But that's our reliance on food rather than Allah. That's how great our reliance is on ourselves rather than Allah. And fasting, it breaks that. And he says, وَاللَّهُ يَقُولُ الْحَقُّ وَهُوَ يَهْدِي السَّبِيلِ.
And God says the truth and you guys push it away.
So it's up to you. That's what he's saying to Shaykh. Shaykh, the Imam, is saying that Allah does not say anything but it's true, and Allah guides who He will. So if you want to be guided, you'll be guided. Allah chooses you to be guided. But if you want to be, then God will guide you. Otherwise, I've said it, Allah said the truth, and you've chosen not to abide by, not to be affected by that. So again, next week when we do the revision, make sure that you have something to plan that your Ramadan coming up. It's not just enough for anyone just to have the knowledge of anything. Without application of that knowledge, there's no benefit, and that's what we're seeking, beneficial knowledge, inshallah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sallam.